Hello and welcome to teachToLearn. Right now we're going to be learning how to use destructuring assignment to pass an object as a function's parameters. So let's dive right in. In some cases, you can destructure the object in a function argument itself. And then they're telling us to consider the code below, in which our variable profile update has been declared with the const keyword and been assigned a function using arrow function syntax. This function holds a parameter for profile data, which will be the object passed into this function. And also, here we have destructuring being used in order to extract these values right here from our profile data object and make them available for use within our profile update function. So what's going on here is that these values are being extracted because they are property names within our profile data object and being made available as stated previously for use within this profile update function. Then they say this effectively destructures the object sent into the function. And this can also be done in place. So we have code that is similar to the code above at the beginning right here. We have profile update being declared with the const keyword and being assigned an arrow function, so a function with arrow function syntax, and our object profile data, when passed into this function, would also be destructured, meaning that the values within that object would be made available for use within the function, the values that we choose. So name, age, nationality, and location would be made available for use within this function when the profile data object is passed into it. The only difference here is that it was done in place. So instead of destructuring the object within the function, as was done in the first example, it was simply destructured where the parameter previously was. So where profile data right here previously was. And they say when profile data is passed to the above function, the values are destructured from the function parameter for use within the function, as I've stated previously. So then we need to move on to the challenge and use destructuring assignment within the argument to the function half to only send max and min inside the function. So before we change any code right here, we have an object called stats that was declared with the const keyword. So this variable stats right here was assigned an object which contains 6 properties, all pertaining to statistics. So we have max, standard deviation, median, mode, and min. And average, And all of these contain different number values. And then we have our arrow function right here, declared with the const keyword called half, which currently holds a parameter for stats, meaning that the argument passed into this function will be the stats object that we just saw previously. And what this function is set to do, it is set to return right here the values of maximum and minimum added together when accessed through dot notation and divides them by 2. So if we were to call this function right now, and log it into the console, log half with the stats object passed into it, it would take the values of maximum and minimum and work with those, divide them by 2, and return to us our result of 28.015. What we need to do is essentially make this function do the same thing, but destructure the values that we wish to be used within this function where our parameter is currently sitting. So what we do is this. We delete our parameter of stats, open our curly braces because we need to destructure right there at that very spot, and only type in the values that we wish to be used within our function. So we type in max, which is definitely the value that we want, and minimum, so min, which is the second value that we want to be extracted from this object right here. And since our function already knows which values it needs to work with, since we've stated that right here, maximum and minimum will be extracted from this object for use within our function, then we can go ahead and delete this right here. So stats and the period What this is doing, it is telling our function to access our stats object and then the max property through dot notation, and the same for minimum. But since our object already knows which properties it needs to access and work with, we can go ahead and delete this right here and this right here. So our function is now done. And if we go to the console and call it and log it, we will see that we get the same exact result of 28.015. So what we did here was we called the function and passed into it the stats object right here. Our function, since we typed this right here, since we destructured, already knew that it needed to work with the max and min values within that object. And then it simply added them together and divided them by 2. And we are returned with a value of 28.015. So this challenge is now done, as you can see right there. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.